The other day I saw a comment saying the PS5 is the best place to play PS4 games. And I couldn't relate more to that. That made me think how bad this generation has been. The generation that never existed. I remember being younger and getting incredibly excited for the next console that was gonna come out. Everything was going to be improved and the possibilities were endless. The generational jumps between the Xbox 360 and the PS3 to their successors, the Xbox One and the PS4 were massive improvements. We're talking about graphical jumps like this. The difference between Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4 was unreal to me. You can see Nathan Drake's wrinkles, animations were massively updated, and the graphics were unbelievable. That is something that didn't happen to this generation. The lack of good, exclusive, original games is really starting to show now. I feel like I got scammed with my PS5. I bought the PS5 because of two games. One of them was God of War Ragnarok. If the original looked that great, I could only imagine how amazing the next one was going to be. And in a way, it was. But it also came out for the PS4, which really limited the development and the final product that we could have gotten. The other game that I got my PS5 for was Demon's Souls, which was phenomenal and the only actual next-gen game that I have gotten to play. It was such a great experience, and that might be my biggest gripe about this generation. Demon's Souls was a launch title for the PS5, and it showed me the heights that we could get to, but the same level of quality that Sony would deny us. I feel like Demon's Souls was a title to show how stunning the next games could look if they actually put some effort into them. And then they decided to never reach that level of quality again. They sold us a lie that can be a reality, but one that Sony refused to achieve because of grief. Because, oh look, the PS4 was our best-selling console. If we release Ragnarok on the PS5 exclusively, we're gonna miss a bunch of sales on the previous console. So let's limit ourselves with the technology that we have and just release it for the previous generation too. It doesn't matter how many people bought the PS5, we can also sell it in the previous generation. I feel like they don't care if they can innovate more or have great improvements, as long as the PS4 can still run it, and thus, they are going to get more money out of it. And then they decided to follow that trend with Horizon Forbidden West, same with Sackboy. Because at the end of the day, the PS5 is the best place to play some PS4 titles. We have gotten some great games since the release of this generation, games like Helldivers, Spider-Man 2 and Demon's Souls. But it's been 5 years since that PlayStation came out. 5 years. In the 5 years of the PS4 release, we had already gotten incredible games and exclusives. Games like Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. The list could go on and on. And the coolest part about it is that those games were built from the ground to be played with the technology of that generation, without having to deal with the performance of the PS3 holding them back. And that's something they haven't been able to do with this generation. We've reached a point where we doubt all the trailers that we see of a new game because it's surreal to think that the PS5 or the Xbox Series X are going to be able to handle them. Like GTA 6. I have heard people saying that the PS5 won't be able to run that beast. And even I myself have doubted it because we are so used to expect bad things. When in reality, when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out 7 years ago, the PS4 was able to handle it just perfectly. Sadly, this is how bad the state of this generation has become. The fact that we see something and we doubt if our consoles can run it speaks volumes. Every game used to push the limits to the maximum with every release before. I could take games from the previous generation that are miles ahead from this one in terms of graphics. I can't understand how games like The Witcher 3 that came out 10 years ago looks more stunning than the games that we get today. This generation has honestly left me a bit disappointed with the quality that we have received. But not everything is bad. I also have to praise them for the cool features that they have implemented. I love the DualSense technology. The haptic feedback that we get is incredibly satisfying. We can feel every step. The triggers when you shoot a rifle or the resistance when you aim with a bow is so cool. I really love it. I'll never forget how cool it was to experience Astrobot for the first time with the technology that they created. It was awesome and I was blown away by the controller. The only bad thing about it are the joysticks, at least in my experience. I already bought 3 controllers apart from the one that came out with the console, and I'm usually someone who takes care of the controllers. Something else that I'm really thankful for is that as much as I love my PS4, I sometimes couldn't tell if I was in the middle of a fight or waiting to catch a flight because of how noisy it was when I was playing. The PS5 is quiet as hell. The cooling system is very good and I haven't had any issues with it. And finally, the fact that I can enjoy games with a better frame rate. It looks so smooth compared to the 30 FPS, and I'm really thankful for that. But I feel like that could also be improved a lot because you have to choose between having a good frame rate or the best graphics. I want to make this clear, I am not an expert, but I feel like they actually have the necessary technology to make astonishing graphics and have a smooth performance, but they just refuse to reach that level of quality because it's gonna take more time and money. Or some games are just poorly optimized, but I guess game developers are to blame for that and not the console. It's been 5 years since the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X came out, and I still feel like we're playing with a quiet PS4. Fun fact, this has also been the only generation in history in which consoles have gotten more expensive as the time goes on, instead of the opposite. And that's taken away the fact that they are raising the prices of everything. I got my PS4 a year later after its release for $250 I think. And the PS5 was twice that amount. And then the PS4 came out for the same price as the base PS4. Could you believe that? That's crazy. The PS5 launched at $500. 3 years later, and the PS4 Pro came out at $700 before taxes. That's $200 more than the original console. And it doesn't even come with the disk drive or the vertical stand, which you would have to buy separately, which is $300 more than the base PS5. This price difference was the actual price of the PS4. Just think about that and let it sink for a moment. The games, as much as it pains me to say it, they've gotten more expensive too. We started with a price of $70 for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And now with the Nintendo Switch 2, they're raising them again to $80. This is just not gonna stop. Honestly, at this rate, I am super scared to see how much GTA 6 will be. Anyway, I really hope that Sony and Xbox step up their games. No pun intended. The Xbox is coming with a handheld device that looks incredible. And I hope that Sony give us some good exclusives soon like Ghost of Yotai. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed with the catalog that we've gotten. What about you? Did you get a next-gen console, and if so, what are your thoughts on it as of now? Let me know your opinion down in the comments. As much as I'm disappointed, I truly am thankful that the PS5 is quiet, unlike his older brother. As always, thank you so much for watching. I am the Valley Knight, and I'll see you in the next video.